thinking about the future of remote landscapes, the empowerment of the communities there is decisive to making good decisions that enhance resilience for both people and nature. Population decline in Scotland's Highlands and Islands had been treated as a given, but a reversal of that trend is now in sway. With a conscious nod towards redressing the trauma of the clearances, this phenomenon is being described as repeopling. This film sets out to explore the undervalued significance of artists and creative practitioners within this trend. Eigg has been a bellwether for those land reform measures in Scotland that are helping reverse population declines in so-called remote parts of the country. Purchased by the community in 1997 using land reform legislation, the population has increased from 60 then to 100 today. Creative practitioners have been a big part of the story from the start. First we'll meet Maggie Fife, one of the architects of the original buyout. We'll meet two musicians who've made the island their home, Gabe McVarish and DJ Dolphin Boy. And then we'll hear from Catherine Davies and Pascal Carr, whose successful willow basket business is a 21st century take on crofting.
We've put all our energy into buying Eigg, and although we've done a lot of work, we've done loads of community consultation about what folks saw future if we were successful, etc. All of a sudden we've bought the island, and what the hell do we do with it? How do we start, you know? So there were, I think that first year, folk were still talking about them. Took a wee while here before we started talking about us and we're doing that, you know, like, interesting, but it's a big leap from being under somebody that kind of, you know, owned your house and had an input in the way you lived your life to suddenly being in charge of that.
And the presence of artists and the attraction of the community and the place to artists, what's that done to the dynamics of the community and the dynamics of the kind of, I suppose, the vision? Has that been a factor?
It probably has, actually, because you know, we were a group of folk that all had the same vision, like you said. That's why we bought Eigg. And then I suppose over the years new folk have started arriving by all manner of means, you know, randomly, of maybe come here as a volunteer and never left. Or in one case, you know, one guy arrived here in a kayak and never left. Other people have bought a house and moved here. And it's interesting because, you know, those people are maybe coming from a completely different dimension, you know. But I think that's another thing I like about it, that you can be, you know, you can take a full part in community issues, or you can keep to yourself and not get involved. But I think it's just this, pretty much all the folk that have moved here have got the same kind of idea about the beauty of the place, about the environment, about keeping it that way. And the fact that it's an inspiration for various creative endeavours that people have got. And there are quite a few, a lot in fact.
I first came to Eigg to perform at a friend's wedding. I'd never heard of the place, but when I got here, I did what most people do, and I kind of fell in love with the place instantly. And I started coming back every year. The locals asked me to play at their. They have a keltie to celebrate their independence called the Buyout Keltie every year on the 12th of June. So I've been doing that now for more than 20 years. I do odd jobs here and there when they come up, but that's just mainly a way of being part of the community as much as anything else. But with the ability to, there's good internet here, so I can, if I do remixes, which I've been doing lately, it's easy enough for me to do them here and then send them off for whatever purpose they're going to be used. Gigs aren't a big thing right now anyway, so I feel like this is a better place for me to be, a more beautiful place to be, and the attitude here is one that favours creativity. I think there was quite a strong 60s, 70s hippie element that arrived on Eigg for whatever reason before the buyout. And they were all instrumental in the buyout, and that sort of their idea of creativity being a very important part of any community. The fact that everybody used to make things, crafts and more complicated things. Most people that I've met here seem to be creative in some way, and I just think that perhaps 60s and 70s old ideology fostered that kind of spirit to begin with, and it's just continued like that, and it's attracted people who feel like that. The sound of the sea is ever present. Because of the cliffs around here as well, you get some quite odd sound effects and echoes. A sound is amplified in a way that wouldn't be elsewhere. So it's a really interesting environment for just to listen.
I get, you could loosely categorize what I do as dance music or keltie music, which was never in the clan system. That was never a profession. I mean, it was, you'd always get a couple of kind of itinerant musicians that would travel around and do that all the time. They would usually get looked after and fed wherever they went.
Do you feel the tradition that you and others are carrying forward is drawn out of that, and therefore drawn out of this place? Is that part of the thing that makes it tick and relevant and something that is relevant to the future as much as it's an echo of the past?
Definitely. Yeah. So I guess the fact that the Kilbake, or the dance music what we do now has been in modern times professionalised, and I've been able to study it. It's given me more of an appreciation of what it's culturally part of. It's always been, long before I moved here, it was always great fun coming over here to play for dances or to play at the 12th of June festival or different things, because people just seem to get music and really enjoy it. So yeah, certainly being around people that are interested and appreciate it is a big help.
The willow is all part of the croft, because especially in the 21st century, I want to show that crofting can be viable without subsidies and without growing sheep and cows. And along with the willow growing, there is other kind of weaving materials that can be grown as crops. And that's when you start looking at the food crops and everything like that. So to me, it all ties in with you're living you're living on the land, but you're living from the land. It is a holistic connection. And of course, because all of that is labor intensive, that means community. It brings, people have a common purpose.
The willow has value in of itself as a crop. So we can sell live willow as cuttings. We can sell dried willow to other basket makers for their craft. But we chose to grow it to add the value through the making.
The connection between the willow and us, when we are looking after it and cutting it and sorting it and grading it and always touching it because of all these processes close to us, carrying it, beside your head, the smell of it and the colours, it's like fizzing. The creativity is fizzing for me. That's one of the most amazing parts for me when we're in the willow field. And I'll say this to Pascal, can't you feel it? Can't you see it? What basket you're going to make and what you're going to do with it. And every single time, every year, it's the same. The feeling never goes away. When you're feeling tired and maybe how many more years can you do this? The minute that you're in the willow and touching it, it gets the juices going, and it's the creativity juices. And I know that for a fact because I never knew that I was creative, and I still don't see myself as creative, not really, but I experience it.
I would say the very fact that when you live on Eigg, and just like any other island, I'm sure, you're removed a little bit from the system and things slow down because you are confined by weather and the sea, and that changes everything. It changes all the dots, all the parameters. It's the number one thing, and you work around that. And so that slows you down whether you like it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. You will be eventually. And it's that space that we need in that slowing down to be creative that I would imagine you don't get on the mainland, because I've lived on the mainland most of my life, and I know that space inside you isn't available.
The community's decision to invest in good broadband has been a key factor in attracting artists and makers to Eigg. Meanwhile, on North Uist in the Outer Hebrides, it has been the investment in cultural infrastructure that has reinforced the island's attractiveness to creative practitioners. Unlike many corners of the Outer Hebrides, North Uist seems settled on a more traditional model of land ownership, but this hasn't stood in the way of a repeopling trajectory. And again, like Eigg, artists, makers and creative practitioners are a big part of this story. The foundation of the Tai Kershava Museum and Arts Centre on the island in 1995 and the development of arts education on Uist, now up to degree level for both art and music, have created a tangible sense of flourishing and confidence on the island. First, we'll meet artist Fiona Pearson, acknowledged locally as the founder of Tai Kershava and driving force behind the establishment of the arts degree there. Then we'll meet Anna-Wendy Stevenson, renowned violinist and programme leader for the University of the Highlands and Islands degree in music, based in Uist.
Well, you look up and out and there's this big space, and you're just a small part of it. And to make that connection with the space and the place visible was, for me, in drawing or painting, somehow to sort of make initial drawings or small ideas, if you like. It's often a moment that has distilled it. An early morning walk across a completely huge strand of sand that's sort of featureless in a way, but it's beautiful in morning light, and then a single line of geese flew across, and it just
it gives you something to actually be able to hang the space in, if you like. And on top of that, I'm very influenced by literary references of different at the moment. I seem to be looking a lot at Rilke. It's just my way of being in the island and living here. Seems to be a sort of pattern of people returning here, which is great, and quite a number of them of being artists or creative people of some sort. Some of them are architects, and some of them are photographers or filmmakers. I think it has a lot to do with Teichkursver at the Art Centre, because that provides a kind of hub. Because before it was established, you couldn't actually have an exhibition. There was nowhere to have an exhibition of work on the island. You couldn't bring in exhibitions of work. Myself and some others started up what was this Uist Art Association, which now has over 100 members in Uist, which is, and it's remained consistent, and that's about 35 years, I think, 30 years. And it joined together with the local history society to set up Teichkursver. And I think the strength there was between the two groups setting it up. So we established it at Gailey. We thought that was it, but of course that's only just the start. But it's just gone from strength to strength and remained, a very positive influence. People have moved here because of it, have stayed here because of it, and then clearly it runs a full degree course in it through the UHI. So it's exciting. It's a very exciting place, and it's grown and it's changed and altered.
What do you feel it means to the community to have that there?
Well, it's a meeting place, and it's a very lively. I think that the Common Estuary, that's a historical society. I think they feel a certain pride and ownership, and displaying work of that sort. It's got workshops, opportunities, and there isn't a lot else actually to do in Uist, but it is actually very it's just a very warm and welcoming, lively place. It's the post office, it's a shop, it has everything, and with the students being there as well, it makes another dimension really, because it's been added to, and I'm not feeling it's going to be added to again. So it's just grown.
I moved over here in 2006 for a year to teach traditional music on the HNC and NC music courses in Benbecula, and but I'm still here because I have found that I've never been understimulated. I find there's just so much going on in my life here, and so much to be inspired by in my work and in the environment. I love the environment of the Uist. I always say then to students when they come to Uist, all roads lead back to Uist. And I like to write poetry as well, and I wrote a poem about the place, the environment, and about how all roads lead back to Uist, and though it might seem like here is a periphery, it's really another centre. From my perspective, the delivery of arts education has made an impact on the wider community here, in that the partnership forged between the University of the Highlands and Islands, Lewis Castle College, and Keolis, the Gaelic music organisation in South Uist, has been facilitated through the development of music education and arts education, and the impact is felt through the funded development of a new building in South Uist to house arts and Gaelic arts and heritage culture, and that's quite a major demonstration of impact, is that physical investment, which in turn the physical investment won't come about without the justification, and the justification is that the community they really desire place to gather and to be able to celebrate and share their culture and art and heritage.
We've come to these islands in December to show them as places not to visit, but to live, to work, to belong. And just as generations of crofters have harvested the land, so too the growing numbers of artists settling here harvest these landscapes, these seascapes, for inspiration to create new forms of value. The Arts Centre and the arts education routes have been attracting new people to live on the island while also creating opportunities for those already living here. Corinna Krause, who we'll meet next, originally came for the music course but settled here and has developed her own bookbinding studio, creating beautiful designs inspired by the island's ancient geology. Marnie Keltie had a career in nursing and social care on the island, but fulfilled an ambition to become an artist by taking the degree course.
I wouldn't have this workshop, this studio, if it wasn't for Uist, and also I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for Uist. Because you can start small here. You know, I started step by step 20 years ago.
What would you say the story is of the growing role of artists in the North Uist community and the place of Tai Kerseva in that as well?
Tai Kerseva started because of people on the ground wanting it, and you know, Tai Kerseva is partly the historical society, so it's a museum. And that is that was all the people coming in with an interest of the local history, and then there was the group of artists who actually started an artist course, an art degree course, and it started with just a foundation course, you know, and now you can do an entire degree, and it's absolutely amazing. And the same, which is why I'm here, and why I moved here in the first place, the same happened with the music course. Again, it started, I was one of the first lot who did the diploma here in traditional music, because I played classical mandolin as a child, so I came up here and I did the traditional music course, and it was absolutely fantastic, and that's why I stayed. But what I'm trying to say is, it's amazing the energy that people have had from the ground, you know, to build these things that are working and that keep going for years and years and years. Then they offer, you know, employment opportunities for the community. I mean, Tai Kerseva is a massive hub, you know, really important. But it also invites people to come here and to continuously, you know, to continuously new people to come and do the course and contribute to the local economy as well, you know.
But I've been here for 35 years. I hope Fiona told you that she's the main person responsible for all the art scene in Uist.
Well, I understood
Did
that.
she?
I understood
Yeah.
that prior to coming.
Because
So
she always glosses over that, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, having had a long wish that I'd gone to art college, and you know, she's made that possible for so many people. We're about to have an alumni exhibition at Tai Kersva because there's quite a lot of people now who've gone right through her courses and graduated, so it's really good. Not that that's the only way to do art. But
no, but I think that's it's amazing, isn't it, really, to think that you could, on a remote island, you could have that infrastructure there, and that actually helps to drive community confidence.
Yeah.
And
well, the University of the Highlands and Islands is just set up that way as a kind of conglomeration of colleges that offer all different bits of courses, and had to do a lot of things virtually, so kind of ahead of its time, really. I am trying to express what I feel about where I live, really, and walking on the beach, you know, you see stuff on the sand. The tide comes in and out twice a day, every day. It's like a rhythm. It's like a calendar that's marking the time, and it makes these amazing patterns on the sand, and then it wipes them away, but it leaves a bit of them, and something else comes, and it's like a metaphor for life, really. You know, things are new every day, twice a day, but the underlying stuff's there. It builds up. I find that really poignant. When you're on the beach, you kind of feel like a link to the past. So you feel tiny and insignificant, and that you're going to pass away. But at the same time, you feel like an important part of, you know, fragment of that. And also, you know, you find mad stuff. Like I once found, after a storm, I found an intact light bulb sitting on the shingle, you know, and then you'll find other things smashed to smithereens, and you just think the sea is like an incredible animal, that it's got the power to break down the sand dunes and expose a Viking midden, but it can gently lay a light bulb on the sand. You know.
Our trip to these islands to meet a cross-section of artists and makers has revealed that their practices are not peripheral. They lead from the edge, unearthing value in the particulars of place that they then embody in works that resonate far and wide. Locally, the impact of this artistic harvest upon the widest sense of place and the benefits it provides in building community cohesion become matters of urgent interest. How might this momentum be encouraged so as to enhance resilience for communities and nature more broadly?